Welcome to Sportpen.
Hey there.
Today, we're starting a deep dive into, well, a true giant of basketball, Oscar Robertson.
Absolutely. What a career, what an impact.
We're going to try and trace that whole journey, from being this high school phenom breaking down barriers through his time as an NBA legend, completely changing how the game was played, putting up numbers nobody thought possible,
Right.
and then becoming this incredibly important advocate, someone who really changed the business side of things for players.
Yeah, that's the plan. We've got some great material here for this deep dive. And the mission really is to pull out those key moments that just sheer force of will he had.
Right.
And those performances that just redefine things. But, it's also about looking at what greatness really is.
Beyond just the points and rebounds.
Exactly. How someone like Robertson can actually, rewrite the whole story of the sport.
Okay, so let's jump in. Indianapolis, Crispus Attucks High School. The material mentions something pretty key happened early on, physically.
Oh, yeah. He grew a lot. Between his freshman and sophomore years, went from about 5'8" to 6'3".
Wow, quite a jump.
Huge jump. But what's maybe even more fascinating is what his coach, Ray Crow, did.
Okay.
Instead of just sticking this newly tall kid under the basket, which would have been the obvious move back then,
Sure.
Crow kept him outside, playing guard. Let him handle the ball, run the offense, see the whole floor.
That feels really forward-thinking for that time, especially with that kind of size suddenly appearing.
It totally was. It meant Robertson developed this incredible all-around game right from the start. He wasn't just a scorer near the hoop. He learned to score from everywhere. Pass, direct traffic.
So that decision basically created the prototype for the big guard way before anyone was talking about that concept.
You could absolutely argue that, yeah. It laid the foundation for the player he became.
But playing for Crispus Attucks wasn't easy, right? Indianapolis back then.
Oh, definitely not. It was, rigidly segregated. The team literally couldn't play home game.
Wait, really? All games on the road?
Every single one. They faced hostile crowds constantly.
Yeah.
Think about the composure that takes just to perform under that pressure night after night.
Incredible. And yet their success was just off the charts.
It was historic. I mean, over 2 seasons, they lost 1 game.
Get out.
Had a 45-game winning streak, won 2 straight Indiana State titles, and a national championship their final year.
That's unbelievable dominance, and the meaning of those wins, particularly in
Oh,
Indianapolis.
huge. Crispus Attucks was the first African-American school ever to win the Indiana State title, and the first Indianapolis school, too.
Wow.
Plus, they were the first African-American school to win a national championship in any sport. It was groundbreaking.
And Robertson himself was racking up the awards.
Yeah, Mr. Basketball for Indiana, National High School Player of the Year in '56. The guy was a phenomenon.
The material mentioned some specific games, too, like a 62-point outburst.
Yep, record setter. And he dropped 39 in the final game of their unbeaten state championship run. Just clutch.
And there's that interesting connection to the Hoosiers story, too.
Right. In his sophomore year, Attucks actually lost to Milan, the team that inspired the movie. Small world.
So even finishing high school, people knew he was special. John Wooden thought he could go pro right then.
Yeah, Wooden saw it, recognized that incredible talent. And Robertson felt their success did help, maybe bridge some divides in the city, show people they were just kids playing ball, not stereotypes.
Okay, so he's this huge star coming out of high school. What was the college recruitment scene like for Black athletes then?
It was tricky. Colleges were starting to integrate, but often it was like 1 Black player here, maybe 2 there. It wasn't wide open.
So even for a player like Robertson, it wasn't a guaranteed smooth ride.
Not necessarily. And he really wanted to go to Indiana University. That was the goal.
But it didn't work out.
No. The story goes that during a visit, he and Coach Crow felt the Indiana coach, Branch McCracken, was pretty dismissive, maybe even insulting.
Ouch, that must have stung.
Big time. So instead, he ended up at the University of Cincinnati. They recruited him hard. But even there, he mentioned being the only Black athlete at the whole university when he arrived.
So yeah, the racism was still very much present, even at the college level.
Absolutely. Day-to-day reality.
Didn't seem to slow him down on the court, though. His college record is insane.
Not one bit. Led the Bearcats to a 79-9 record over 3 varsity seasons. That's just sustained excellence.
79-9. Wow, and they got close to the big one, right?
Yeah.
The national championship.
Twice. Led him to the Final Four 2 times, but just couldn't quite win the title.
Yeah.
That was the one thing missing from his college resume. But individually, unstoppable.
Which brings us right to the NBA, and that nickname,
the Big O.
Instantly recognizable.
Yep, became a global name.
And his playing style in the pros, we talked about how it started in high school, but how did it hit the NBA?
It was revolutionary. Simple as that. He's 6'5", which was big for a guard then, but he had all the skills, the handle, the passing, plus the size and strength to score inside, rebound like crazy.
So, truly the first big point guard.
You could definitely say that. He could score from literally anywhere. Pass, elite, rebounding, dominated the boards for a guard, defense, tenacious. He did everything.
And that really set the stage for future players.
Absolutely. You look at Magic, Jordan, Kobe, LeBron, that blueprint of the big, multi-skilled perimeter player. You can trace a direct line back to the Big O.
And the stats, I mean, they're just hard to comprehend, especially for that era.
They really are staggering.
Yeah.
Career averages over 14 seasons, nearly 26 points, 7.5 rebounds, 9.5 assists.
Almost a triple-double average for his career.
Insane. And he's still the all-time leader in triple-doubles with 181. Held the single-season record for decades with 41. Plus, all-time leader in rebounds by a guard. These weren't just good numbers. They were like video game numbers before video games.
Made him a massive star off the court, too, right?
Oh, yeah. First basketball player on the cover of Time magazine. Huge cultural figure, especially for young black players coming into the league.
Okay, so here's where, for me, the story gets even more compelling. Because he wasn't just about dominating on the court. He took on the system off the court.
This is such a crucial part of his legacy. Maybe the most important part, arguably, because conditions for players back then.
Wow. Hard to imagine today.
But totally, the material lays it out. No health insurance, basically no pension plan to speak of, no minimum salaries. The per diem for road trips, $8.
$8 a day for meals.
Yep. Players doing back-to-backs and maybe only getting paid for one game. Rough travel. It was a different world.
And the racism didn't just vanish when they turned pro.
Not even close. Black players still face discrimination, constantly have. Hotels, restaurants refusing service while they were with their teams. And medical care, often minimal. The sources mentioned the awful injury to Maurice Stokes and how players had to basically pass the hat with the Stokes game fundraiser just to help him out. Yeah. That showed the lack of support.
And there was this feeling, wasn't there, that some team moves were racially motivated?
Yes. Robertson and Bill Russell both felt the Royals trading away. Bob Boozer, a really good black player, was about race and cost the team a real shot at competing with Boston. That kind of thing just added fuel to the fire.
So all this simmering frustration finally boiled over.
Big time. The 1964 All-Star Game in Boston. This is legendary.
What happened?
Literally minutes before the game was supposed to start, on national TV, the players threatened to strike. They refused to leave the locker room.
No way.
Yep, they've been promised improvements for years, especially a pension plan, and the owners just kept stalling. So the players, led by guys like Robertson and their lawyer Larry Fleischer, said, enough.
That must have been incredibly tense. The arena's full, cameras are rolling.
Imagine.
Yeah.
But it worked. The owners panicked. They had to negotiate right then and there.
And the result?
Historic. The owners finally formally recognized the NBPA, the players' union. They upped the per diem. And crucially, they agreed to establish a real pension plan. It was a huge victory, but just the start of the fight.
Because the next big hurdle was something called the reserve clause. What exactly was that?
Okay, so the reserve clause basically meant that once a team signed you, they owned your rights.
Yeah.
Forever, even after your contract was up.
So no free agency, no choosing where you play.
None. You couldn't test the market, couldn't negotiate with other teams. The owners loved it, obviously kept costs down, total control. Players hated it, felt like property.
And Oscar Robertson took aim at this directly.
He became one of its loudest critics. He saw it as the fundamental barrier to players having any real power or freedom. And this led to the Oscar Robertson lawsuit.
A major legal battle.
Huge. It was a class action antitrust suit against the NBA. And a big part of it was actually trying to block the NBA merging with the ABA.
Why block the merger?
Because the ABA, even though it was shaky, created competition. Teams had to bid for players, salaries were going up. The NBA owners wanted to kill that competition by absorbing the ABA.
Gotcha. And Robertson stepped up as the lead plaintiff.
He did, knowing full well that, being near the end of his career, he probably wouldn't personally benefit much financially from winning. It was about the principle for future players.
It says a lot about his commitment.
Absolutely. He and Fleischer just did not trust the owners. The sources mention owners refusing to even show their financial books during Senate hearings about the merger. Stuff like that just hardened the players' resolve.
And Robertson testified himself
Yeah.
in front of the Senate.
He did, September 1971. Testified against the merger bill. He argued it would just lock in the reserve clause and lead to, his words, the economic enslavement of players.
Economic enslavement. Wow, powerful language.
Definitely got attention. And it resonated. Senator Sam Ervin, for example, became a big supporter of the player side, arguing against restricting their right to sell their skills freely.
So this lawsuit drags on, negotiations happen. What was the final outcome?
It essentially forced the league to settle. In 1976, they reached a settlement and a new collective bargaining agreement, and the headline was, the reserve clause was abolished, replaced by a system of compensation and first refusal rights, which was the real beginning of modern free agency in the NBA.
And the impact on salaries must have been pretty immediate.
Oh, massive. The sources track it even before the settlement. Just the threat of the lawsuit and the ABA competition pushed salaries up. By 73, average NBA salary was $90K, highest in pro sports. By 76, after the settlement, it hit six figures average for the first time ever in sports.
Directly linked to this fight.
Absolutely. Competition and the establishment of free agency rights led by Robertson and the union.
So this whole struggle just completely flipped the power dynamic in the league.
Totally. Shifted significant power from the owners to the players and the NBPA. Sources say it made the NBPA maybe the strongest union in sports and paved the way for NBA players becoming some of the highest paid union workers anywhere. A fundamental change.
Amazing. Now, on the court, he did eventually get that championship ring, right? That one missing piece.
He did. Later in his career, after being traded to the Milwaukee Bucks, he teamed up with a young Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and they won the title in 1971.
Finally got it.
Yep. Added that team accomplishment to his incredible individual resume.
And his contributions didn't stop when he retired from playing.
Not at all. One really significant thing later in life, he donated a kidney to his daughter Tia, who was suffering from lupus.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah, and it led him to become a really dedicated advocate for organ donation and health awareness with the National Kidney Foundation.
The sources also note his business success after basketball.
That's right, founded a successful chemical company, Orcam. He's also shared advice for entrepreneurs, often talking about patience, using leverage wisely, not expecting instant success.
So when you put it all together, the high school barriers, the revolutionary playing style, the record books, the fight for player rights, the off-court advocacy, what's the ultimate legacy of Oscar Robertson? How do we define his greatness?
Well, he's easily a top 10 player ever. Named Player of the Century back in 2000 for college and pro combined. But his legacy, it's multifaceted, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's the unbelievable skill and the stats, for sure. But it's also that relentless determination, facing down segregation, facing down the owners. And it's the courage to fight for justice, both racial and economic.
So not just a great player, but someone who changed the game itself, on and off the court.
Exactly. He didn't just dominate within the existing structure. He fundamentally challenged and changed that structure. That's a rare kind of greatness. He really rewrote the story.
What a life. Just incredible depth there.
Truly remarkable.
Okay, so here's a final thought for everyone listening, something to chew on after hearing all this. You look at the massive contracts and protections players have today, right? How much do we really stop and think about the guys like Oscar Robertson, the pioneers who fought those foundational battles, who put their own careers or comfort on the line to pave the way for the freedom and wealth athletes have now?
Yeah, it's easy to take it for granted. Definitely something worth reflecting on.
Thanks for listening to Sportpen.